Yes?
How did Bruno die, if you don't mind my asking?
Just dropped dead in the front hallway. I mean, the guy was 95 years old. Here, check it out. Myocardial infarction. That's doctor speak for heart attack.
Attending physician Dr. Gilbert Buford, 504-555-9970. Was that Bruno's doctor?
And his best friend, or so I'm told. I've never met him.
Interesting keychain.
That's one of Uncle Bruno's glass eyes. It's the one he was wearing when he died.
How nice.
Anything else?
I'll let you get back to work.
Awesome.
Hello again.
Did Dr. Boulay ever say anything to you about a crystal skull? He may have referred to it as the Whisperer.
No, he never so much as mentioned a crystal skull, whispering or otherwise.
Were you in the house when Dr. Boulay passed away?
I was indeed. I was in the library cleaning when all of a sudden I heard a big thump. I hurried out to investigate, and sure enough, there was Dr. Boulay lying by the front door. And as I rushed over to him, the door opened and in walked Gilbert Buford. He took one look at Dr. Boulay and hollered at me to call 911, so I ran back into the library and did just that. When I came back out, Gilbert was leaning over Dr. Boulay, listening for breathing, I suppose, and then he started pushing up and down on his chest, but it was too late. Even I could tell that Dr. Boulay was gone.
What was he doing by the front door?
I assume he saw Gilbert coming and was going to open the door for him. Not that there was any need. As you yourself discovered, people around here seldom lock their front doors during the day. But you know, in the back of my mind, I have always wondered about Gilbert Buford showing up at the door at that exact moment.
I understand that Dr. Boulay had some interesting pets, like an iguana.
That man never met a creature he didn't like. He'd train them to do all kinds of silly tricks, then let them run free, inside the house as well as out.
Do you know how he went about training them?
I surely do not. Don't get me wrong. I liked Dr. Boulay, I truly did. But I swear, sometimes his activities made as much sense to me as bathing in a bayou full of gators.
Nice talking to you.
Fare thee well.
Yes, hello?
Hi, my name's Nancy Drew. Is this Professor Hotchkiss?
I am she. Nancy Drew. Your name has a ring to it. Do I know you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we met a little while back in Wisconsin.
Oh, yes. You were the delightful young lady doling out the samples in the tasting room of that cheese factory. Yum, yum.
No, I met you at Whitford Castle.
That's ridiculous. There was no cheese tasting room at Wickford Castle.
No, we were both guests there. I found a journal written by Marie Antoinette which you translated. Remember?
Thanks to you, suddenly all I can think about is how wonderful a nice big slab of Colby cheese would taste right now. Listen, Mandy, I'm on a deadline, so if you could please just tell me why you called.
But my name isn't...
Deadline! Let's cut to the chase, shall we? Chop, chop.
Did a man from New Orleans named Bruno Boulay ever call you?
Ah, now there's a name you can remember. Boulay, nice and French. I'm a scholar of French history, you know.
Yes, I know. So did Bruno Boulay call you?
Indeed he did. Oui, oui.
How long ago was that? Do you remember?
2, perhaps 3 years ago, he had just read my book, The Crystal Skulls. Fact or fable, one of my best efforts. Sold like hotcakes, smothered in a rich, tangy lemon sauce.
Did he say anything about owning one of the skulls himself?
I would have hung up on him straight away if he had. I tell you, Brandy, if I had $1 for every crackpot who's called claiming to own one of those skulls, I'd be able to dine at the Russian tea room every evening for the rest of my life. All right, that's a bit of hyperbole, but you get the picture. No. If memory serves, we talked mostly about the skull called the Whisperer. He wanted to know if I had learned any more about it since my book was published, which I hadn't, or if I had any theory as to what happened to it, which I didn't.
And that was the extent of your conversation?
Well, now, let me think. My, such insatiable curiosity, Nellie. You remind me of someone I encountered on one of my journeys. But for the life of me, I cannot remember her name or the circumstances.
Nancy Drew, Wickford Castle?
Ah! The eyes have it.
I'm sorry?
That's what Bruno Bolet said when I turned the tables and asked him if he had any idea where the Whisperer was. He said, the eyes have it. Then he chuckled and hung up.
How much would a crystal skull like the Whisperer be worth?
In this crazy day and age, where the shorn hair and used tissues of celebrities get sold for thousands of dollars, there's absolutely no telling, Candy. $500,000 easily. Maybe even $1 million. Maybe 2. Maybe 10. The sky's the limit. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
If someone found a skull made of crystal, how could they be sure it's one of the crystal skulls?
Wonderful question, Francie. How indeed. Because there are sure to be thousands of fakes out there. Perhaps tens of thousands. But remember, the real skulls were made long before the tools commonly used for carving today were invented. Which means, let's put on our thinking caps.
Modern-day tools would have left marks if the skull was a fake?
Exactly so. Mind you, the marks on a good fake would be microscopic and thus imperceptible to the human eye. However, any thorough laboratory analysis would quickly unmask a counterfeit.
So the only way to prove that a skull is the real deal is by proving it's not a fake?
And by examining its provenance, its history of ownership. If it can be shown that a particular specimen has been passed along from antiquity into modern times and didn't just suddenly appear in, say, Germany in the mid-19th century, that would tend to support its authenticity as well.
The idea that the Whisperer can make its owner immortal, do you believe that?
I believe that things that defy any so-called rational explanations happen all the time, Nessie. Now, does that mean there are mysterious external forces at work in the universe of which we do not and cannot ever have full knowledge? Or does it all boil down to us? If the human heart desperately wants something to be true, does the human mind have the power to make it true? Who knows? Oh, questions, questions, questions. Oh, how dreary life would be without them.
In your book, you said that all the people who've ever owned the Whisperer were murdered, yet Bruno Bolet dropped dead of a heart attack.
Are you saying the Whisperer was in his possession after all? The scallywag! Why didn't he tell me that? Oh, that's right, I would have hung up on him. Well, if that's the case, then I strongly suggest you take a close look at his so-called heart attack, Sandy. Because if he owned the skull and he died, I guarantee you it was at the hands of someone else. Or my name's not Beatrice Gertrude Winifred Hotchkiss.
That's it for now.
Good luck to you, dear.
Hello again.
I'd better get going.
Fare thee well.